Arguably the most famous masterpiece by the Dutch artist Hieronymus Bosch is the Garden of Earthly Delights, which is on display in the Prado Museum in Madrid. But in the same room you can find some other works by him, and this one does not hang on the wall. It is instead painted on a wooden tabletop. The title, 7 Deadly Sins and the Last 4 Things, describes the content very well. In short, on the outside are 4 circles with the last 4 stages that the human soul goes through upon death. They are the moment of death, the last judgment, and then either heaven or hell. In the middle is a large circle with scenes of the 7 sins. Within the center, a simple image of Christ emerging from his grave, with the text that can be translated as, "Beware, beware, the Lord sees." And do you notice that this center is painted like an eye, representing the eye of God? The message here was clearly that God is observing the people on earth and that he will see all of the sins. The banderole on the top shows a text from Deuteronomy 32 verse 28 reading, "They are foolish. They don't understand. If they were wise, they would understand. They would know what would happen to them." And the banderole at the bottom contains a text from Deuteronomy 32 verse 20, reading, "I will turn away from them. Then let's see what happens." And before looking at each of the scenes in some more detail, it is good to say that we don't know who commissioned this piece, but the fact that Bosch painted this work on a tabletop means undoubtedly that this table was meant for a person to reflect on his sins before confessing them to the church. The last 4 things are discussed clockwise, starting at the left top with the scene of death. It shows a man on his deathbed receiving the last rites before dying. Unnoticed by the people in the room, behind his bed are a skeleton, a devil, and an angel. The skeleton carries an arrow that points at the dying man. The devil and angel will fight for the soul of the man after he dies. Bosch depicted a similar scene in another work called Death and the Miser. The second scene represents the Last Judgment, with similar elements as in Michelangelo's famous fresco of the Last Judgment in the Sistine Chapel, though Michelangelo painted this around 1540, 40 years after this table was painted. It shows Jesus in the middle, with angels blowing their horns, and dead people arise from their graves. The judgment will decide if a person goes to heaven or hell. First, there is a scene of heaven. The people on the good side of the judgment are entering through the gate of heaven. At the entrance, an angel prevents a devil from capturing a woman. Jesus and many angels are waiting the selected ones in heaven. The other option is hell, and those entering hell are punished by several devils. There are different punishments for each of the 7 sins which we discuss next. For example, the scene at the bottom shows a devil showing a mirror to a woman, something that comes back in the specific scene for pride. Now let's look at the scenes for the 7 sins, starting at the bottom with wrath. It shows 2 peasants holding weapons engaging in a brawl before an inn while a woman tries to stop the man on the right. The man on the left has already been hit by a stool and his head is bleeding. Next is envy. The woman on the left inside the house is already married, but the man to her left is still trying to present her with a rose to seduce her. The poor parents of the girl in the house are looking enviously at the rich man with the falcon outside. Greed is represented by a court official sitting on a bench. He is listening to the case of the man to his left while accepting a bribe from the man to his right. The two other men on the bench see the bribing, but do nothing about it. Next comes gluttony. The skinny man on the right is drinking excessively and the seated man is eating excessively. They are in a dirty room. The child of the seated man is begging for some food from his fat father, and on the left is the server of the inn coming with more food. The sin of sloth is painted with a lazy man sleeping in a chair during the middle of the day. He ignores his accounting business and also the religious woman on the left. His clothes are old-fashioned for that time, which is another sign of laziness. Lust is shown by two well-dressed couples inside a luxurious tent. On the right are two fools in suggestive poses. Fools were a known symbol of lust, as well as the musical instruments and fruit surrounding the tent. The last sin is pride, showing a woman admiring herself in a mirror that is held by a devil. And the room is appropriately filled with expensive items like gold, silver and ceramics. There are not many works by Bosch that have survived, but the Prado Museum claims that Hieronymus Bosch created this painting. There is, however, some discussion on whether this claim is valid, as other people believe that this painting is created by one of the followers of Bosch. One argument in favor of Bosch is that the painting contains his name, just below the banderole in the bottom center. An argument against Bosch is that there is already documentation in the 16th century that the pupil of Bosch created this painting, and that he either added the name of Bosch out of respect for his master or to increase the value of the painting. The main reason for doubt, though, is that this painting is not very typical for Bosch. The figures in this painting are somewhat unrefined, something that is not the case in the other works attributed to Bosch. Another reasonable explanation is that Bosch painted this work together with his assistants, as some scenes are of higher quality than others. To me, the latter explanation makes most sense, but I am curious to hear what you think or whether the attribution even matters to you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this discussion about a pretty unique piece. If you like this kind of work, you may be interested in another video on this channel about Bosch's Garden of Earthly Delights. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to stay up to date on new videos. Thanks for watching.